I didn't know Steep.
Both culvert drives go straight in,
Okay.
and then
Doesn't it go around to this?
and they don't go around. That's Lake Drive.
Okay. Okay.
So it's called differently.
So maybe we could
Ask the county
Yeah.
if they would maybe north. It would make it awful lot easier for people to. Yeah.
You suggest like north to south or east to west?
North and south. There's so many people that when you're given your address and you say Culver Drive, and unless you tell them it's the second road past State Road or Sunset, it's the second road past on the other side of the road, would they realize that there's two Culver Drives?
Okay. Okay.
Well, we need have that.
Right.
Where it said they were assessed and but there's no number. Right. Well, no.
Marie?
These were assessed, yes.
Where's my bell?
All right, we're going to officially call the meeting to order. Need a roll call?
Ms. Howe?
Here.
Ms. Butler-Challenger here. Mr. Wisswasser?
Yes.
Mr. Benzie?
Yes.
Mr. Fewens-Bliss?
Here.
Ms. Kellerman?
Yes.
Mr. Rosecrans?
Present.
Thank you.
All right, for those of you who have an agenda, we're on item 2, which will be civil reflections, and that has to do with the Pledge of Allegiance first, and then we'll have a moment of silence. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Okay, I have the number 3, or item 3, is the approval of the agenda. I have 2 changes that I'd like to make. And then this is in there. On the unfinished business, 13, I'd like to add the public arts committee for discussion.
E,
That would be A.
13,
Yep,
oh, A.
13, unfinished business, got it. Items for discussion.
Yep.
Okay. And the second change that I have would be, hang on here, I know I had it. Oh, your resolution, B, as in boy, that's the one you and I talked about today. I wanted that for items of discussion as opposed to the item of action.
Which one is that again?
That would be 14, new business, large A,
Okay.
and that would be a small a. All right, does anybody else have any changes or anything they'd like to see?
Karen, is there any problem with the timing of the resolution if we slow that down?
We can't add any new members to the plan, including trustee Kellerman, until that has been approved.
It's okay, still needs to be, we still have another month. And what she'll do is fall under, if I'm understanding, we had a long talk today about that. If I'm understanding what that means is that until there's a change, it still remains the same.
The company's asking us
Right.
to make the change, so.
Right. But it would still So we look at it in 2 weeks to pass it. Trustee Kellerman will
She-
still be,
She can't be added until this.
no,
meeting
I
is
understand,
due. Okay.
but what I'm saying is, she won't be added to the new section.
They've indicated they will not add any new members to this plan
Okay.
until we make this change.
Okay.
That's come directly from John Hancock.
No, I get it, I get it.
Will Sherry lose out on any money in that time frame?
I don't know if it can be prorated, I haven't asked that.
I mean, I don't want to slow it down if Sherry's going to lose any money from
I
it.
don't think so, because they add that every year, like once a year. What you're
No.
thinking is prorating for
November?
November
Mhm.
until in January, when in fact it's changed, is that correct?
It's
Because the
actually
discussion-
added in January of each year.
I didn't know that.
I
Okay.
know. Okay. Is that okay?
Mhm.
Okay. Trustees, what do you want? Okay, whatever, it'll work. All right, is there any other, all right, approval for the agenda?
I'll make the motion to approve the
Thank you.
agenda as amended.
Second,
Mr. Rosecrans?
yes.
Ms. Butler Challenger, yes. Ms. Howe?
Yes.
Mr. Wisswasser?
Yes.
Mr. Benzi?
Yes.
Ms. Kellerman?
Yes.
Mr. Fields Bliss?
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, is there a disclosure for conflict of interest? I don't think anybody, okay, so we'll say none. Public statement, first statement. This would be item 5.
Okay. Since you haven't approved the minutes yet, I would like to make a statement about that.
Could you give us your name and address?
Sorry, Meg Ritchie, Outer Drive. And my statement regards the minutes for last meeting. And usually under public comment or public statement, it is given, where I just make my statement. But since comments were included from, statements from the board were included on my public statement, I would like all of the statements included. There is a statement from Ms. Hildebrandt, which was greatly appreciated. It was informative. It didn't really have anything to do with what I was talking about, but I thank you for that. But what is not included is Mr. Fields Bliss comments, either in that section, in the public comment section, or in the official Township Board member comments at the end of the meeting. Where it did state that he, two of his other statements, appreciating people coming out to vote and thanking the chief of police, and it did not reflect any of the lengthy comment that was actually untrue. So that was, he stated that I had accused the township employees of being greedy, and that statement is just completely untrue. I did not state that. I stated that the Board of Trustees was being greedy. So I think you all can handle that statement without getting too upset, but never once did I imply nor state that I thought that the township employees were being greedy. Just to clarify, and if you would make that amendment in the minutes, since they are the official document, I would appreciate that. Here is
Oh, Jesus, Meg.
Anyone else? Thank you, appreciate it. Doesn't, there, you guys, there's so few of you this time compared to, sorry, Doug. All right, we're on item 6, and that would be items from your county, state, federal, or other agencies. You're up, Doug.
Guess I can represent all of them for you. Thank you for having me again. My name is Doug Steffen, Managing Director for the Road Commission. Just wanted to come in tonight, give you a general update. Usually this is kind of our once a year type thing that we do, and as the year's coming to a close. We had a really good year this year at the Road Commission. A lot of great projects. Many of them were down here in Bath Township. We had a couple subdivision paving projects that went really well. A lot of great feedback. One thing I kind of wanted to share with you is our efforts in the last couple of years. Many of you are aware of how we rate our roads. We use a rating called PASER, P-A-S-E-R. It's a pavement surface rating numbering system. And we're always 1 year behind. So we're in the process right now of rating our roads that were constructed in 2022, and that information will come out in 2023. So what I'm sharing with you tonight is our 2021 numbers. We as a county, and this includes the local roads, raised our ratings 12 points. That's a big deal for us to go up that high. Our goal is to try to raise them 1 or 2 points each year, and with the amount that we've been contributing and the amount that townships are contributing on their local roads, our numbers are really moving up in the right direction. So that takes our, if you're familiar with it, there's a good, a fair, and a poor. All of our numbers are moving upwards towards that good, which means we have less poor roads, less fair roads, and more good roads, if that makes sense to the board. So things are really going well. We're pushing hard, even with these crazy prices with asphalt and materials that we're seeing. We're still trying to capture every dollar we can. The township has been very good at still contributing to those road projects, even though it's, we're getting a little bit less for more, but the work's still getting done. We're still chipping away at it. So I just thought it would be good to share those numbers with you as the board, that your money is being well spent. It's really getting put to great use, and the residents and the roads are seeing the benefit of it. So, and on that same note, when we talk about the PASER ratings, we rate 2 different sections. We rate our primary and local roads, and then we also have a separate rating for our federal aid road system, and that is any road that's eligible for those federal dollars from the government. That's the grants and federal money that we get straight from the federal government, not from the state. And currently, Clinton County is rated 5 out of 83 counties when it comes to our PASER ratings for our federal aid roads. So something that we're extremely proud of, to be capturing all those dollars, putting them to good use on our federal eligible roads. That's all the primary high traveled roads, urban roads which are many of them are down here in the township. So something to be proud of, and we're going to continue to be number 1 hopefully someday. So next item is just coming into winter. We're at full staff at the Road Commission. We've had very little retirement through attrition this year. We are currently at full staff. We anticipate being that way throughout the whole winter. Hopefully it doesn't snow, but if it does, we're prepared. We're getting ready actually this week to adopt our 2023 Road Commission budget. That'll be presented to my Board of Commissioners on Thursday. We'll have our budget public hearing, and then that'll be adopted pending there's no further review. We're working on project planning for next year. I know I've been sending out a few different road project plans, and actually one that I sent tonight is just an updated one. There was one small error that we had on there, and I say small, it wasn't very small, but on the Drumheller Road project, we had used a past year's asphalt price, so we had to adjust that. I think it was set to be $588,000, but anticipating the current asphalt prices we're seeing right now, that puts it up to $700,000. And then I made a note that we still want to proceed with any tree work on Drumheller. We just need to get a signed contract. I think the contract is in, it's been reviewed. We just have to get a signed one back. We want to do some tree work on there, but that's just for your information. I'm happy to sit down with anybody at any time if we have any other concerns about that. Karen, I know you and I have talked. If you want to have any questions, feel free to reach out. We can narrow some of those projects down for next year. We're anticipating about a 12 to 15% increase on aggregate costs next year, aggregate prices, that's gravel, limestone, any types of aggregates we're using for road building. We're seeing those going up about 12 to 15% already. And then lastly, our facility project at the Road Commission's really moving along well. I don't know if everybody's been by it, have seen it. A lot of moving parts there. We did have a slight hiccup about probably 2 months ago. We had a small section of our roof trusses collapse in the admin building. Luckily, nobody was hurt. Happened at lunchtime while people were away. The wind kind of kicked up. They didn't have them braced properly. No cost to us. We had nothing involved in that. The contractor took care of it. Had about a 2-week delay because of that. But things are really moving along. So, other than that, I'm just here to answer any questions you might have, and we look forward to working another busy year next year. Yes.
The contract that you've got, is it the same as last year for taking the trees down on
Yes.
Drumheller and Center?
Yes.
Okay,
Same amount. I believe it was the same number of trees. Yep.
okay.
And
Yes.
one quick question. Your 12% that you're talking about, the 12
Correct.
points, is that for 2021 or
Yes.
2022?
2021. Yep. The numbers are always a year behind.
Well, that's what I thought.
Yep.
And yet, when you put it in there, I was thinking, is that 21 or 22?
So it's 2021 numbers,
Okay.
rating, it's rating
Yes.
last year's work.
So
So
this year's work.
hopefully it goes up even more.
Got it.
The unfortunate thing is we're doing less work with more money, which is tough.
Yeah. Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Yes.
I think I reviewed the federal transportation plan and noticed that we were up for either a bridge full reconstruction or maintenance on a bridge.
Okay.
I think it's Peacock Road. Can you speak to that at all?
I don't have the information in front of me, but I can look and pull the information up and see where we are in the process.
Great,
If you're up for it, we've probably submitted it through Critical Bridge, and or we're just waiting to hear back on that grant.
okay.
But I will follow up with you and send you an email and let you
That
know where
sounds
it's
great.
at.
I would love to let
Mhm.
the board and the residents
Sure.
know if there's gonna be work done in that area.
You said it was Peacock Road?
I think it is.
I can do that. Any other questions?
Good job, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
If you guys don't mind, I'll just introduce myself.
Please do.
Kevin Holt, I'm on the Road Commission Board with Gail Watkins and Mike Frederick. And I'd like to say that Doug makes our job easy. Doug and his staff do a nice job. Keep things on track. We don't have to get the whip or the cane out too often. And also, just in our meetings and listening, hearing to Doug and staff, they enjoy working with Karen, work back and forth very well. And I think that's a key to efficiencies and things like that. Single point of contact, drive things through Karen so that's, again, just to get Doug and his staff, while there's plenty of people at the Road Commission, they gotta serve 16 townships. And so there's a few things that they're doing, a few fires they're putting out, and again, trying to get those Pazer ratings up, because that's when we get the cane out, when those things go down, and, make sure we want our roads good in Clinton County. So, but appreciate everything that Bath Township does, working with us, contributing money to the roads. Without you guys doing that, we couldn't do what we can do. So it's very, very much appreciated. So, thank you.
Thank you. You gonna stay for the whole thing? I was gonna say. All right. So if we see you get up and leave, we'll know. All right, our next item, which is 7, is the consent agenda. Any questions? Thank you.
Take care. Thank you.
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Second?
Ms. Feller Challenger, yes. Ms. Howe?
Yes.
Mr. Wisswasser?
Yes.
Mr. Benzine?
Yes.
Ms. Kellerman?
Yes.
Mr. Cheswas?
Yes.
Mr. Roseborough?
Yes.
Thank you.
All right, from public comments on item 8, which is the approval of our minutes for the Board of Trustees meeting of November 21st. Now, is there an amendment to that? Did you hand an amendment? Okay.
Legally, how could a resident of the township and not a member of this body amend the township's board's minutes? These are our minutes. They're not the township residents' minutes. I don't care who speaks. They're not the township people, the speakers that come and speak at podium. It's not their minutes by statute. This is the way this is set up. I did this for 20 years. I've never seen anybody from the outside. I've seen where they've made suggestions, where something
I'm
got.
just asking that.
Are you gonna allow that?
No. Not trying to.
Are you gonna allow that?
I'm sorry. Maybe because
She's
she was
interrupting me,
explaining-
and I have the floor, and I'm trying
She
to
did
talk
it
here.
before.
All right, let me finish, I'm trying to teach you something here. And that's what needs to be done here, because this is illegal, what you're doing here.
No, all I'm saying is, was there an amendment to that?
You
That's
can't
all
do, I
asked.
won't vote for an amendment to the minutes, because that's not, that's what our job is, to do that here. That's
Yes,
what-
it is. That's why I asked.
You can't, I feel for her, and I understand what she said, because there's things in every board packet, and all the minutes I've ever looked at, that comments don't get made, or something doesn't get picked up. And I've seen numerous board members, new board members especially, make comments about that from time to time. But it's not, that's not how it works. It's, that's the reason why you have a video, you have that stuff, and it's on there if somebody wants to take and review it. But the minutes are what the clerk puts on the paper and what this board votes
Correct.
on. And that's the bottom line. It's not anything against you, but it's not legal to do that.
I understand.
Okay, Glenn, just so you know that. I'm all about statutes and legal, that's what I'm
Good.
about.
Yes, trustee.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the minutes.
Is there a second?
I'll support it.
Well, you wrote them. Okay.
Ms. Howe?
Understand?
I was just asking you not to approve that. I'm not trying to tell you how.
But I get it, thank you.
Ms. Howe?
Oh, yes.
Mr. Wisswasser?
Yes.
Mr. Benzi?
Yes.
Ms. Kellerman?
Yes.
Mr. Tinoz Bliss?
Yes.
Mr. Rosecrans?
Yes.
Ms. Fuller Challenger, yes.
All right. Item 9, approval of the vouchers.
I'll make a motion to approve the vouchers.
Support.
Submitted.
Mr. Wisswasser?
Thank you.
Mr. Wisswasser?
Yes.
Mr. Benzi?
Yes.
Ms. Kellerman?
Yes.
Mr. Tinoz Bliss?
Yes.
Mr. Rosecrans?
Yes.
Ms. Fuller Challenger, yes. Ms. Howe?
Yes. All right, item 10, which is the treasurer's report.
Madam Supervisor, there's nothing new to report this week. This is a relatively slow week in the treasurer business. The tax bills did go out, they're starting to show up. I noticed I got mine today in the mail. And weeks coming here, or the next board meeting, the final board meeting in a month, I'll have quite a bit to talk about.
All right, item 11, which is mine, has to do with committee appointments. I have one statement before I do, well, actually two. The question of whether you want to do this one at a time or whether you want to do them all at once. That I have, so think about it. The other thing is, in your packet, it was stated that you had your new terms, that they ended, and the ending of their terms, which is a question that's usually asked when the term ends. That wasn't on this agenda, so just understand, for example, Leon, most of them, for these, their terms ended December 31, okay? Then it has their new terms, but it didn't say when they ended, and I'm always asked that. So just understand that all of A, those are ending December 31 of this year, 2022.
It does say that in here.
I know you have it as, but not on the agenda.
Oh, okay, in the handout it
But
does.
it's in the
Mhm.
handout, but it's not on the agenda. So anyway, that's just so you know that. Now, second question, the first question I had was, if you had some time to think about it, do you want to do these all at one time or one at a time?
All at one time.
Okay.
Could I ask a question? You are gonna separate out the new members?
Yes.
Oh, yes,
Yes.
I said only A.
You're gonna do all the reappointments?
A through F will be at one time.
Right.
I will make that motion.
I'll second it.
Okay.
Mr. Benzi?
Yes.
Ms. Kellerman?
Yes.
Mr. Cumas Bliss?
Yes.
Mr. Rosecrans?
Yes.
Ms. Butler Challenger, yes. Ms. Howe?
Yes.
Mr. Wisswasser?
Yes.
Just as a note, all of these people have been really good with it, so I appreciate the reappointments. Now we'll do B, which is what you asked. This new appointment is Rob Moran, who was an alternate. Good heavens, if you can understand me. He was an alternate, and now we have one who decided not to be reappointed, and that was Daryl Kessler. And so we're moving Rob Moran up to being a member. So that's what that is.
Does that mean we'll need a new alternate in the future?
We have still have 2 openings for alternates.
Do we have any alternates?
No,
Okay.
you'll have a quorum.
Right, but if someone's missing, nobody to
Yes,
swap in, okay.
That's correct.
I'll make a motion to approve Robert Moran to the zoning board of appeals for term ending December 31st, 2025.
Second.
Ms. Kellerman?
Yes.
Mr. Cumas Bliss?
Yes.
Mr. Rosecrans?
Yes.
Ms. Butler Challenger, yes. Ms. Howe?
Yes.
Mr. Wisswasser?
Yes.
Mr. Benzi?
Yes.
Okay, item 12. I don't see him. Ray Copley is on this. I don't see him at this point. Or are you going to speak for Judy? Oh, I don't know.
He's on the road tonight.
That's, just understand this is an update. Thank you for filling in.
My name's Judy Gardy. I'm president of Friends of Park Lake. Ray was just interested in having the nature trail on the agenda for the board. So there's a continuous update on our progress towards establishing the trail. I know the survey was completed. We'd really love to see the results of the survey. So that's what Ray was primarily going to get up here tonight and say, that he'd like to see the nature trail on the board agenda for discussion so we can keep up with the progress. Thank you.
Don't go away. You're next. You have the Senior
You don't get to
Service
sit down.
Advisory Board for another, is this an update or is that a?
Yep.
Okay.
Again, my name is Judy Gardy and I chair the Senior Services Advisory Board. Brian, would you mind taking one of these and passing it down for me, please?
Ooh, they're hot off the press.
First, I'd like to thank Marie and Cheryl for coming to lunch with us at the Senior Center last week. And I'd like to invite all of you to come to lunch sometime at the Senior Center. The meals are always really good, and I learned my lesson. I was going to treat them both to lunch, but boy, did my hands get slapped. I got that money right back in my pocket. But I was glad to have them for lunch, and I'll be glad to have any of you for lunch. But I want to bring you up to date on the conversation that we're planning, because we've set the date, and the clock is going to start ticking pretty soon, and I just want all of you on board with us and to know when you can act and what kind of help we need from you. So we have set the dates for the conversation. You'll see them bolded in the middle. The first one will be the 18th of January at the Senior Center. Primarily, it'll be in the afternoon, and primarily with our patrons. All the people who have ever attended the Senior Center will get an invitation to come to this conversation and to participate with us in this discussion. Anyone can come to that conversation, but this is primarily, we're hoping to get the patrons right after lunch to stay and talk with us about the Senior Center. And then the next day, on the 19th, which is a Thursday, we'll have one in the evening. And then on the 28th, we will actually have a validation session. That's a Saturday morning. to invite as many people as possible who are over 55. I have contacted directly the homeowners associations for all of the subdivisions we have around, like the Pines and the Meadows and Meadow Ridge and all the subdivisions in Hawk Hollow. They all have homeowners associations. Now, when I discussed the conversation with the presidents of the associations, I asked them not for their members, but to partner with us when the invitation is sent out, then to forward out within their own community. And they were very happy with that, and they have all agreed. Now, Ryan, I don't know if you have a homeowners association in your area. Perhaps you can get me in contact with the president. I just need the president. But my conversations individually with these people from around the community have been very encouraging. So you can see that we will be announcing the conversation on social media on the 15th of December. And a monkey survey will go out then, and it will close on the 8th. Because we have to have time to tabulate that data before the first conversation, so it's a part of the conversation. And then the invitations, postcard invitations, would go out on the 4th for these 3 conversations that we're having later. So the postcards go out on the 4th, and then we'll have an article in the DeWitt Bath Review at that time. Then the conversations occur. Again, the validation session will be a Saturday morning, so people can come and really hear what we've learned, you know, and give their feedback and validate the conversation. And I think that this is really important that by the 20th of February, the Capital Region Community Foundation is expecting preliminary letters of intent to apply for grant money from the regional foundation that we could use to match money that we might get from the planning department or from you to do whatever the conversation might recommend. But that deadline is the 20th of February. So this is very timely. We'll have the information, we'll have the data. And I would really like to encourage you I changed the date. Let's see, where is it? Oh yeah, by the 26th of December. If you have anyone in your community or anyone in your circle that you feel should be invited to the conversation that I might miss because I don't know who's in your circle, please let me know what their name and their contact information, their email, and their phone. Eventually, when we do the validation, we'll probably text people a reminder about the validation. So you have to remember that in order for a public engagement process to be successful, someone has to hear about it, read about it, or be told about it 3 times before the event. So that's why it's important to get all these different avenues for information and invitation out to people within the community so that we are successful and we do have a meaningful dialogue. It would be very helpful to have the architect there, especially considering that the Community Foundation grant should speak to, if we decide, if it is determined that the building should be changed in any way, it would be helpful to have the architect's input in the process. I know we are not starting these conversations until the 18th, but I would like to put that back on the table for you to consider to bring the architect. That's originally what we came for, was $5,000 to bring an architect in, and I'm kind of surprised that we're going through the process without the approval of the architect. So I would greatly appreciate it if you could reconsider that and allow us to bring the architect in for the conversation.
I have a couple of questions.
I'm happy to answer them.
Can you tell me what is a conversation validation gathering? What does that look like?
Okay, so we're going to have 2 conversations. We're going to have one with the seniors and one with the community at large. Doak is going to take all the information that we've gathered in both of these conversations, and he's going to put it together so that all of the voices are represented in the final report, and that he's heard you correctly, that he has interpreted what you have said correctly. We're inviting everyone to come back and have an opportunity to respond. He's not quite done.
Play off that one before you go to your second. So that's a report that he's going to be giving about the other 2. So
It's like a report out.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you, Ryan.
can people just come, or do you need them to register? Do you want their information, or can we just tell people show up at one of these times?
Show up,
Okay.
that's fine.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
No question. My quick question has to do, when you talked about wanting to know, because I'm an association, but it's a small association. Do you have a number? I mean, do you want 10 in the association, 2 in your association? Does it make any difference?
No, we just want leaders within the community who are recognized to share the information about the conversation with people that trust them. Again, a person is going to come if they hear about this from someone they trust. If they hear about it 3 times, they might hear about it from their president, they might see it on the Facebook page, or they might notice it on the
No,
Bath
I just
community news page, but then they also might read about it in the DeWitt Bath Review. So we're just looking for a contact who's willing to send the information out.
Gotcha. All right, I'll touch base with you after the fact.
Just get it to me, that's fine.
Oh, that's a good one.
You all know how to
I love
reach me, don't you?
technology, and it works.
All right.
Okay.
Any other questions? Thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay. All right, item 13, is that where we're at? We used 12. Good job, Judy, thank you. All right, item 13, I moved to be able to speak about the Public Art Advisory. And I'm not really clear, so hopefully you guys can help me. This is the board. Why we're not addressing these 7 members? When I asked, did you want to continue or do you want to dissolve, I didn't get any response. And then when I sent out that I'm going to be sending them notes with regards to their resigning, 3 of them were up for the 22nd, 22 of this year. 4 of them were not up. Does that make any difference? Does that make sense? So, in other words, we've got 3 who did not want to be reappointed and 4 who still had time to go. So I wasn't real sure what it was that you wanted to do. So the only member that I know would be Taylor Point. Sorry about that.
Me and Trustee Kelly.
I'm sorry. Oh, well, but she hasn't been.
She hasn't been to a meeting.
No, she hasn't been
but
to a
she is-
meeting.
She
So
is a member, yes.
I get that. So is there some, I know with you sitting there, is there some information you can give to us as to why they decided that they were going to, the three I kind of get when they don't want to be appointed. And I understood the chair, why she didn't, and I understood she's the glue of what was going on. So if you could kind of help us understand.
There were a lot of different factors that went into each member deciding not to continue. Some of that was a lot of people really looked to the veterans of the committee. So having them decide to not continue was, I mean, kind of a bummer for them. They wanted to continue with them as well. There were several people that were just having schedule issues with their kids getting older and having more activities in school, and just felt like it was the right time to step away and focus on that with their families. There are a lot of different factors that went into it. I wouldn't say there was one specific, but everybody was very vocal that they enjoyed their time on the committee. They didn't have any issue with how things were happening on the committee or the relationship between the committee and the township. So they did want me to emphasize that.
You know, I kind of got that feeling, I think you all got copies of their letter, didn't you?
It was in the packet.
Yeah, I thought they did. And that was very apparent in that letter, you know, as it was written. And I did reach out to the chair and talk to her, and that was very much her, I think for her, and that's Melissa Eggleton, for her stepping back and not wanting to be reappointed, only because she had so many other things going into her life, which is, you know, what you explained to her, made sense. And everybody else at that point pretty much decided as long as the glue is not going to be there, then we're not going to do it. So I wasn't sure if everybody understood. That's why I asked for this to be put on an introduction and trying to figure out what's going on. Because your next step is, and I've asked this before, is going to be whether or not we're gonna continue or whether we're gonna dissolve. Now, understand there's a policy, and when you read this policy, it's kind of an interesting piece. As you can see, I'm a highlighter and a person that puts things in there. I never really understood why this was not advisory for a committee. But a policy is to guide, not to put it in any kind of resolution or into an ordinance kind of thing, like we've done with other committees. We've only voted on this policy. So my question is, I guess, trying to understand, if you want me to go ahead, no issue about continuing with public art, my only question would be to change it and put advisory, because that's really what the policy is. It's an advisory piece. So I don't know what you want to do with this. Now that you don't have any members to it, and you only have a policy
We have two.
that created.
We have two members.
That's what I'm saying, there are two, and Taylor's up in 23, and obviously trustee Kellerman, who's been assigned, will be there, hopefully, through 24. We'll see, because she's gonna have to have an election again. Yeah, I know, but that's the way it's gonna be. So, I want you to think about it.
As I understood, all of them quit, is that right? Except for these two?
Yes, yes.
Okay,
Well, 3 didn't want to be reappointed, so
Yeah.
that's quitting, and then, yes, they all did.
they all
3
left.
didn't want to be reappointed,
Okay.
so,
And it's how many people committee? How many
Sorry.
people are on the committee?
They have 9.
9?
right. They asked to expand it from 7 to 9.
So you're gonna be busy getting 7 more people.
If that's what you want, well, if that's what you want, I have no issue with that. I'll bring them to you, and you can decide if that's what you want to do. Now, have you read the policy? Okay. Have you had opportunity to read the policy? Either one of you? I
Yeah,
know.
I read the policy.
Okay, then understanding this board, because that's where they'll count. And I wanted to ask the treasurer, because it states that they'll have a special, if there's donations, it's required through this policy that you set up. And again, policies are something to guide, they're not something that etches in stone, but it does say the treasurer will set up a separate account.
Treasurer does that, that's what the treasurer's job is.
It's exactly what the treasurer's
With
job
that
is.
being said, though, you gotta have a few more than 2 people to make a committee to do that.
That's what
That's
I-
what your,
yes,
once
yes.
again, your statute says, or your
That's
policy.
absolutely correct. So what I'm asking is a change, because it is advisory. I don't know why this was determined that it wasn't advisory when all the others are advisory. It does state in the policy, and again, that's a guideline, that they are to come to the board of trustees with their art, et cetera, which is supposed to be donated. So, has there been, oh, you would know, Taylor, has there been anything that's been donated?
Yes. Their art that they did, their mural on the Wisconsin
On
Park
Wisconsin Park.
bathrooms, that was donated.
Where is that? Is that still at Wisconsin Park? Okay, good. Thank
On
you.
Steve's bathroom.
Along with his telephone number, is that it? Okay.
Didn't they just do something for the library?
Yes,
Drop
they
offs?
just did a mural
Okay.
covering the book drop box behind the library, so that was donated to the library.
And was there anything else? Because my understanding, and help me out with this, because this, I think, was before your time, was Tom Snyder was here, that there was some kind of a memorial? Is that-
didn't have anything to do.
So the, okay, so that's not a donation or any type of,
It wasn't art.
It wasn't art.
yeah, it was our project which comes to the board. It
Are you
comes
talking about
to
the gun?
township. Pardon?
The gun?
No, I think out here, that big rock that's out there, the boulder.
Oh, yeah,
Is
that's
that
not
right?
It's a
part of
tree
the art.
with a plaque
Okay, so where's the plaque?
with the tree by the boulder in the front yard.
Okay. Should that be inside?
No.
Is it- Okay, so that's bronze or it's outdoor. Okay.
Are you talking about the fundraising policy, or are you
No,
talking?
no, I'm talking about,
The
there's
public art committee.
the art committee, when in fact they produce something, it's really the ownership of the township.
Okay.
In the policy, it's written that they have to give whatever they do to the town, and that's why I was asking. So if you have the library and the mural, both murals, is that correct? Well, no. One mural for West Park and the other is,
The library.
I know, but it's
Doesn't belong to us, it belongs to the library.
not according to our
It's
policy.
painted on their walls.
No, I understand. I understand what you've done, but that doesn't mean, according to the policy.
You might want to think about this a little bit.
I know,
When
that's
you
what I'm
created-
asking
When
about.
you created your policy, the library was part of the township's general
Correct.
budget.
They were.
And
I didn't
eventually,
The board did.
you did as a township, you're the township. Because you gotta kind of think of it as you're the township. When you created that, the library was part, and it actually had it was funded by the general fund of the township. And the policies was all reflected upon what the township boards, they were the governing body of the library. When you had the folk back here, and help me out here, Karen, but I wanna say it was 5 years ago, 4 years ago at least, 5 years ago, where they went out and got a separate millage and they went off on their own. That changed everything, and now they have their own governing body. For accounting purposes, due to an 1836 law, believe it or not, it is that old, we still take and have a line item of transfer in and out of the millage for the money to go to the library, and we have to provide that by law. Once again, it's another little thing called statute, because of that law that's out there.
That little
But
thing.
we have no governing responsibilities with the library. So the stuff what they inherited, when they become one of their own, and I believe they put it on their walls, I've been down there, been in the library, they put it on their walls and they draw it on the library. And it's very beautiful, my dad as well as the one at the Park Lake is as well. But this one at the library, when they inherited that, and it's theirs. There's no monetary value or nothing that belongs to the township down there. They control that building. They pay the rent on it. They have an agreement with the owner of the building, and then a lease, I believe. I think it's a 10-year lease, if I'm not mistaken.
15.
And that's what it is. 15-year lease.
Yeah. All right, so now answer this question then. Does that mean that we need to update a policy?
Well, you might want
To
to change,
reflect
you
that?
might want to change that.
Right, that's what I mean.
If you want
You have to update it.
separate errors, I guess you probably
Well, I think.
could change that, but you don't have any say, and you can't go down there and take their wall away from them. Now, the
So-
one at the park, you definitely own, that is a permanent structure. It's
No,
painted on.
I get that. So all I'm saying is then we need to update this policy.
The intent of the policy was like art that you could like pick up, like donated art, statues. It wasn't meant if they painted on a wall.
Okay.
So like if somebody donated a statue to the art committee, the township would own it. Art on the bathroom, the township owns it. Not that if they put paint on a wall that someone else owns, the township would own it. That wasn't the spirit or intent.
Okay, the intent and the spirit of a policy then. Anybody could read into a spirit or an intent. So I guess all I'm saying is that if that's the way it's going to be, I see it. If that's the way it's going to be, then it needs to be updated so that it reflects that.
Well, this isn't a legal document. We
No,
couldn't
it's
take
not.
this to court, to Daryl Kessler, and say, we own your wall now because we painted on it.
Yes, I wouldn't take a policy to that, but I certainly would.
We can spend time to change it, but this won't change the ownership of the wall of the library.
No,
No.
but it changes the policy. So there's, that misunderstanding is there, and yes, you can take the wall and do it if you were so inclined to do so, which of course you're not. So your policy update, you're second, she's first.
The intent, I was here when it was created with
Yeah.
Supervisor Clark and my predecessor, Waticha. was also that they be able to seek out grant funds.
Correct.
So any grant funds that would come to the township and be overseen, and I think that's in respect to what you were saying, the treasurer would create and monitor that was
The
the
grants,
intent,
yes,
is the grant
yes.
funding be monitored by the township, because they are advisory. They're not statutory. All of our groups are advisory, except for the ones that are outlined in statute as being statutory, such as the Planning Commission and the Zoning Board of Appeals, so.
No, I understand that completely. So what I'm saying, this just says Bath Charter Township Public Art Policy. It should, to me, this would be me personally, should read Township Public Art Advisory.
It's not actually a policy about the committee, it's the township's policy about public art.
That's correct.
So
And
it's not advisory, it's our policy.
No, your policy state, and if you read it, all the way through this, it's advisory. They need to come to this board in order
Right,
to
the
do
committee is
certain things.
advisory, but the policy is about public art, regardless of the advisory
I
committee.
understand that, but it's naming the Public Art Committee.
Right, but the
Public
policy
art-
isn't advisory. The policy is a factual policy.
Okay.
It's not advising us. The committee is.
And it's always referred to as the Public Art Committee. And I'm just saying, even with a policy, it needs to be that this is advisory. But that's splitting hairs, I understand that. I'm sorry, Joe, go ahead.
Obviously, if we're going to continue this,
That's the
it
question.
should be the responsibility of the group that continues to update this policy and modernize it.
And bring it to us.
That would be us.
Not necessarily. The art committee themselves could be responsible for that. Doesn't have to be a board function.
Well, it is board function with the history of how it was created and what it's done. It is the board. That's why I guess I'm trying to throw
I
these
guess I would be
questions.
uncomfortable writing a policy for people that aren't here yet.
But
I
you wrote the
think they should
policy.
be part of this discussion. Things have changed.
Sure.
The library's not part of this anymore.
Correct.
They're their own entity, so it's just an update. So if an update needs to be done, it needs to be done with the entire art committee and the board.
The entire board and the art committee is what you're,
Well, unless we want to put it off to the management.
because the policy was written by, I'm assuming, because I'm assuming Dan, my teacher, wrote this.
No,
That's
Paul
by
wrote it.
ASSU and me thing.
Paul wrote it, Paul Clark.
Oh, okay. So it was written by the supervisor. Okay.
Well, the original one was, but
Right.
going forward, we should have these other people involved. I think the first decision we have to make here is, are we gonna reach out to the community to see if there's an interest in continuing this group? I think that needs to be done first.
Okay.
And if there is, well, then we can continue, and if there isn't, then we'll have to make another decision.
Okay. Then, if you're gonna reach out, would that be a good thing on a Friday report? Because the Friday report states that there are 7 openings.
There are several openings, because it's
Yeah.
a committee and 9.
So if you're gonna reach out to the community, whether you should continue or not.
Well, if there's no interest,
No, that's what I'm saying, but for a Friday report, in order to let them know that we're reaching out to them.
it's already in there. There
It
were
says
7
it's-
openings in the last.
So that's what you're calling a reaching out. Okay, no, I understand.
Or if you want to reach out, you're responsible for committee appointments. I don't know if you have a list or not.
No, of course not, because this was all a blindsided kind of thing. I had no idea. I knew the 3 needed to be reappointed, but I didn't know that the rest of them were going to dissolve their activity, other than the 2. And that's why Trustee Kellerman was appointed to that. Because there was,
I think it's the board's responsibility to see if there's some interest in the community.
how do you want to do that
continuing this
then?
group. And you're asking me to do what?
How do you want to do it? How do you want to reach out?
Normal channels.
What's a normal channel? What is a normal? You're helping me out, because I don't know what a normal channel is.
Well, it's already in the Friday report.
That there was, so you're looking at, I want to make sure I understand. So the reaching out is just to 7 people?
You need 7 new board members.
Well, so you want to continue it?
Well, I want to see if there's an interest in continuing it, Marie. If
Oh.
there's no interest in the community in doing this any longer, obviously, we probably won't continue it.
Do we need 9?
I'm sorry.
You need,
7. You already got 2.
you need 5 to have a quorum.
Okay, if I'm understanding, reaching out to you means if I can come up with 7 people.
Reaching out means what it always means, Marie.
Okay, I guess
Marie?
I kind of understand. Oh, I'm sorry.
If you contact the people that were on the committee, they might be able to give you names of people that would be
I've been
interested.
doing that with Melissa right along.
And
So,
why are you asking all these questions?
because I don't understand what normal channels are. If normal channels mean that I'm supposed to appoint, that's okay. To me, when you reach out to a community, you literally reach out to your community. What this is, what I think Trustee Benzie is saying, that reaching, I know, hang on a second. Reaching out means appointing 7 more people. That's reaching out.
You wouldn't have to appoint 7, you could appoint 5.
Well, for the quorum.
You don't have to have, no, you don't have to have a 7-person committee. It could be a 5-person committee.
Well, no, because that's changing. What we agreed to.
Well, you're changing, you want to change that anyway.
Yes, I do. Well, I don't want to change it. I just want to know from you what you want to do with it. This is why I put it on the agenda, was because I'm not real sure exactly where you're at with this, whether you want to continue it. Yes, go ahead.
I think the normal channels that Trustee Benzie is speaking of is Facebook, website, newsletters, the normal communication channels that we use to reach the public.
Well, I would think that would be what my understanding, I mean, I misunderstood it. That the reaching out would be whether or not people wanted to participate.
I believe we've been advertising for some time.
No,
Yeah, I've been advertising all vacancies of all township committees.
sure, yes.
Several months.
But there was no reason for me to reach out. If that's what that is, then I would reach out to the community. That's not what my definition of reaching out to the community is, but I will do that. So, okay. Okay. So I'll reach out for our 7 members, which is what we have at this time, okay? And if I can't get them, then you're saying that that needs to be
I'm
decided.
not gonna make that decision until we find
Okay.
out if we have interest or not.
Okay, got it. So if you're interested, got it. Okay. Thank you. That helps me understand a little bit better whether you want to keep it. So if I can't find them, then
Bring it back.
bring it back and we'll look at it. Gotcha. All right. Thank you. I really appreciate your looking at that. Okay. So now we are on 13, B as in boy, items for action. And this is a street light. Doesn't, oh, Superintendent Hilton.
Thank you. What you have before you tonight in your packet is a memo outlining the steps that we need to take to create a special assessment district for streetlights that were approved in 2021. I believe it was April of 2021. There were 2 streetlights that were located in White Hills Woods North number 5, which is a lot to say and type when you're trying to explain it to everyone. And at that time, we did not create that special assessment district. So we need to do that now so we can collect the costs of those lights that are being utilized in that community. So what I have outlined for you below are the additional steps that need to be completed in the coming days and weeks, which includes the notice of a public hearing, which should be published in a newspaper of general circulation in the township at least 10 days before the date of a hearing, which is attached in your packet. I would recommend that the public hearing be held on Tuesday, January 3rd at 6 o'clock PM. Because of the observance of the New Year's Day national holiday, it would be not a Monday night, it would be a Tuesday night. That allows us to be able to put the notice in the paper as well as send out, which is outlined in number 2, the notice to be mailed to each property owner and party in interest that might have a dispute or be against having the streetlight assessment on their tax bill. If you were to move forward with those steps, then after the public hearing is held, we would need to adopt a resolution creating the special assessment district.
Okay, before the discussion, because I have a question, is there a motion?
I'll move approval of the resolution as provided tonight.
Second.
I have a question for the superintendent. It talks about assessments, but we don't say the dollar amount. Is there a reason for that? We don't know what that dollar amount?
We actually do at this time, I believe it's approximately $300. That would be divided among these 7 properties.
No, I mean their assessment for their, is that what that means? Okay, no, got it.
Is that backdating? Is that why it's so much?
Yes, on this split between the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 parcels, it's really not that much.
No, but usually our streetlights are spread out among more people. Okay.
In 21, you didn't do this, and what happens is that it gets paid by, once again, by the way, by the law, it gets paid, no, actually it gets paid out of the fund balance of the streetlight district. And then, so this year, it got missed again, and we're doing it now, it's too late now to put it on the winter tax bill. You would have to do this, the difference between doing it the way we're doing it now and doing it if it's on the winter tax bill. If it's on the winter tax bill and you put it on the taxes, you can put a lien on the property for the amount of the street light, which is pretty small for where we're talking about, where this is at over there. We're legally not, we're doing it the way we're doing it here. If somebody wants to protest us, and I probably shouldn't say this in a meeting, but I'm pretty honest, they don't have to pay this because it's not a special assessment for their 22 tax bill. However, in 2023, once you've done this, it will automatically become just like all the other hundreds of thousands of dollars of streetlights that we have in the township will become part of the special assessment roll, and it will work the way it's supposed to. With that being said, we're very lucky to live in the county we live in Clinton County, because our county treasurer and our equalization department allows us to take our special assessments on our tax bill. They don't have to do that, and they actually pay us for the delinquent ones that don't get paid at the end of the year, and they prepay it to us, and then they go back because they can put a lien on their property if they become delinquent in March, and they can collect it. So one way or the other, sooner or later, they're gonna pay. Well, but not all counties do that. We talked about this in the treasurer's class I went to, Jen and I went to here a week ago, and we are one of the very few counties that does that. There's a lot of counties that don't do that. They leave it to the municipality to be able to collect their own specials, and if they're delinquent, then that's their problem. After the taxes are collected, they have to go back, and it's like personal property tax, they have to go back out, and they get the roll, and they have to collect it. We don't have that problem here because of our county makes us whole on it, just like we do on all the other real or ad valorem property that we have in the township. Does that make sense? So that's maybe
Each light is approximately $150, and then spread among the community, or the properties that receive benefit from those lights is approximately $50.
Is that annual?
And then 21, you didn't have as many lights either. I should make that as well. I think you had 3, where you have 7 now.
So it's 150, not 300.
It's 300 total.
Total.
Divided by 7 parcels,
Yep.
but in
But there's
21, you didn't
lights.
have as many.
Right.
Now you have a few more parcels you divide it by.
Okay.
So it gets a little more spread out.
Oh, Oh, so it's not $300 for the 2 additional lights, it's $300 for,
It's just $300 for the addition, for the total, and
Oh.
then spread between 7 parts.
And that's in 2023.
Do the math, I'm not good at math, but do the math. and
Calculator.
You can take it and figure out what that is.
So that's for 2023.
That's for right now, if you could approve this, we can go and send them a special assessment letter. However, if they don't pay it, you have no recourse, you'll have to pay it out of your fund balance
Oh, I
for this
gotcha.
year. But next
Sure.
year,
They do have to pay it.
they're just like everybody else who's got a street light, they're gonna pay. Because we've done our due diligence, we've done it correctly, and that's what
Okay.
we're doing here.
Got it.
But that's the gist of all this thing.
So in 2022, they really don't have to pay, but it's gonna be assessed.
We shouldn't probably talk about that
I
too many
know.
more
Well,
times.
that's- so people understand it, and then you have your public hearing for 2023's.
no, this is the public hearing creating the special assessment district
For 2023.
forever.
This is,
Right,
forward.
this is
No, I know
going
that.
forward, this is for 2022
Two, okay.
today, because all taxes are correctly collected in the rear. We're gonna go back and assess these people and collect their taxes in the rear if they pay them. If they don't pay them, you're gonna have to be responsible at the end of the year when I make all when I zero everything out. You're going to have to pay this out of the streetlight fund, and we're gonna come back here to this board and we're gonna approve that voucher. But going forward next year, it'll be like all the other special assessments, it'll be on the special assessment streetlight roll, and it will be paid out of the special assessment streetlight roll.
But there is a fund balance for the lights.
There's a healthy fund balance for
Okay.
streetlights.
So that can take care, okay. Got it. Okay.
Can I call a question?
What was the question?
We have a motion, we have a second to approve this.
Well, no, that was the discussion. We already had a motion. Yep. So we have the discussion. Now we can vote.
Mr. Fields Bliss?
Yes.
Mr. Rosecrans?
Yes.
Ms. Butler Challenger, yes. Ms. Howe?
Yes, as they understand it.
Mr. Wisswasser?
Yes.
Mr. Benzi?
Yes.
Ms. Kellerman?
Yes.
Thank you.
You are so patient. But don't go away, because you've got a whole thing here, Miles, to deal with. So our next one, let's see, we did that, is your adoption of these 3 ordinances. So you're up for all 3. Okay, Miles, thank you.
All right. First ordinance up tonight is the second reading of the lot coverage ordinance. The intention behind this is to get developers and really anybody doing any kind of commercial development activity in the township to think about all permeable surfaces on the site. So not just the structure itself, but the driveways and the parking as well. That township, as you guys know, and as well as see this spring, is a pretty wet
You
place.
gotta lift your microphone up to the
Oh,
public's
yep.
never gonna hear you.
Yeah, for sure.
There you go.
So as you guys know, Bath Township's a pretty wet place, and it's becoming more and more apparent as we review some of these larger commercial properties that where all this water going is gonna matter. Especially as the township builds out more, especially in the south.
Okay, Ms. Elsia. Oh, Ms. Is that beyond?
Just generally speaking, in the southern part of the township, that's where most of the development's being
I
seen.
was gonna say, that's, okay. All right, do we have
I'll make
a
a motion
motion? Thank you.
to adopt the zoning ordinance number 31.79, lot coverage and green space.
Second.
They're excited about it.
Mr. Rosecrans?
Yes.
Ms. Butler Challenger, yes. Ms. Howe?
Yes,
Mr. Wisswasser?
No,
Mr. Benzi?
Yes.
Ms. Kellerman?
yes.
Mr. Fields Bliss?
Yes.
Thank you.
All right, Miles, you got the second one.
All right. So this will be the first reading for the outdoor lighting ordinance. So this is amending the current lighting standards throughout the township. So as we talked about in the introduction, this primarily affects, once again, commercial site development. So that's where our concerns around lighting lie. As far as residential properties, there is no change. The status is quo is remain. Lighting shall not leave the site for residential properties, but with the commercial properties, this ordinance gets far more detailed.
My only question, this is a housekeeping question before we, well, if a first reading, that's not an item for action, that's an introduction,
Introduction, first reading.
okay,
It's introduction of the text and the first reading of the text.
so that's why it's the item for action, so we don't vote on,
Yes.
only for the text, of the way that it's written,
It's the first reading.
right? Got it. Okay, no, just trying to figure out, so first reading, because it says introduction, but it's for the text. Okay. I'm sorry, that was just housekeeping. Do we have a motion?
I'll move approval of the first reading of the zoning ordinance number 31.80 outdoor lighting as presented to us tonight.
Second.
Ms. Butler Challenger, yes. Ms. Howe?
Yes.
Mr. Wisswasser?
Yes.
Mr. Benzi?
Yes.
Ms. Kellerman?
Yes.
Mr. Funes Bliss?
Yes.
Mr. Rosecrans?
Yes.
Thank you.
All right, looks like staff has another introduction, first reading. And this one is for your 3181?
Yep.
Okay.
All right, so this is site development standards, specifically around the rural district. If everyone remembers correctly, when trustee Almarigi was on the board, we were, I think, looking at lot coverage, and he came across some language as it related to the manure standard in the rural district, and we had a dimensional requirement of 100 feet from the parcel line. As it turns out, that's not an enforceable standard because of some of the language in the Right to Farm Act. So what we've done is amended that language and hopefully future-proofed it by tying our standard to the state's Right to Farm Act standards as spelled out in GLAMPS, which is, remembering this off the top of my head, generally accepted agricultural practice, management practices. Yes, government loves those acronyms. Yeah, we're basically saying if you're good with their standards, then you're good in Bath Township standards. And we've met their inspector and talked to him, and any of our complaints around the storage of manure will be handled by that department, MDARD.
Any question? Okay.
I'll make a motion to approve the zoning ordinance number 3181 as presented tonight.
Second. Sorry.
Ms. Howe?
Yes.
Mr. Wisswasser?
Yes.
Mr. Benzi?
Yes.
Mrs. Kellerman?
Yes.
Mr. Funes Bliss?
Yes.
Mr. Rosecrans?
Yes.
Ms. Butler Challenger, yes.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you, Miles.
A lot of work in there. Okay, number 14, for new business, items of introduction, we don't have. Items for action.
We do,
Oh,
right?
I'm sorry, we do have items for introduction. And that had to do, and that has to do with the changes that need to be done. All right, and that's what I asked for discussion, so that this, to me, was very quick, but I think part of what staff was saying to you, or to us, was because with trustee Kellerman being new, she would not be added to the plan of any kind, correct?
I'm hoping to do that.
Right, so there's no one, even though we're already with John Hancock, She won't be with John Hancock.
Yes, but I wasn't under the understanding that they got added in January, so that's a point of clarification. That's very helpful.
And let me clarify.
No,
We
these two.
only make the contribution in January.
Correct.
I guess I might be incorrect on when she turns the paperwork in. So if she turns the paperwork in later, does that mean she can't?
I don't know, you have to ask her.
I don't know.
I
I'd have to
don't
find
know
that
the
out.
answer.
I would have to find that out. I'd have to make a phone
Oh,
call.
okay. Okay, so we don't know if in fact the payment went into March as opposed to January.
No, the payment's made in January.
The payment's made in January, but if she fills her paperwork out a month after
Right.
and turns
She
it in,
meaning John Hancock.
she means Cheryl.
Sherry.
Okay.
In no way is John
I
Hancock
was
a
gonna
woman.
say that. Okay, I'm looking at her going, what does that mean? All right, so that means obviously that if trustee Kellerman fills it out later, we don't know if that's, okay.
We're hoping
gotcha.
that she'll fill it out by the end of the year.
Oh, I'm sure
but-
she'll fill it out before that. And it was very interesting that we found out what the acronym, when you talk about acronyms, when you say non-ERISA, the clerk had to do some real scrambling to figure out what this was and ask the right people. That's Employer Retirement, make sure I'm saying this right, Security Income Act.
Employer Retirement Income Security Act.
Yes, oh, what'd I say?
Yes.
No, that's, so it's Employer Retirement Security Income Act. Is that correct? Because,
Yes.
yeah, acronyms to me are,
Employer Retirement Income Security Act.
okay. Just so everybody knows that's what that means.
But all we're doing with this resolution is updating it.
Yes, understanding that the clerk's position, not you personally, the clerk's position and the treasurer, not you personally, positions are already under MERS. The trustees and myself are not. Okay. And that's the update is because we're not in MERS. Go ahead.
I'm actually an exception to the rule because I've been a trustee for as a treasurer for 8 years and I have,
Well, so it's
I actually have, no, she's not. I'm the only one here that has that and I think the only one's ever had that actually in the whole history of the
Possibly.
township. But I still have a John Hancock policy. I chose to freeze it or it collects interest every year. I don't get any contribution from the township, but I do get my full rate of interest and everything per year on that. And actually,
We have two.
actually, while I was with the township, yeah, but actually,
Okay.
this was always taken care of, looking back, and I don't know how it was done, but it was always taken care of, and it was part of the welcome here package. There was a better word for that, excuse my hickness there. But it was part of your welcome package when you become a trustee or the supervisor on the board. When you signed on and you took and signed your stuff on November 20th, you signed the John Hancock form as well.
Right.
I think, Brenda, you can help me out here, but I think that the actual money is paid in January.
Yes.
It's funded in January, and so a new person who's on the board will be paid from January 1st, 2023 forward, all the way through, and it doesn't go back and pick up November and December. But I think that's how that works. But on the other side of the coin, at the end of your term, if it's a 4-year term, you'll pick up your 2 months at the bottom side. And, you can freeze it, you can take and roll, I've checked into it, you can roll over and get the other ones you got or whatever, I left mine right there. I'm double dipping, I guess, I think I probably got $1,000 in there, I'm really making a lot of money.
Well, I'm glad you made money this year, because I lost 6%.
I did
No,
too.
that part is pretty good, actually. That's, all right, so that explains up to a point that this is updating. I just want to understand, for me, for my sake, that, and for our new trustee, that the two of you are exempt from that. So there's, and you and I talked about this. So there are actually 3 levels. You would have your full-time employees, your seasonal, and then us.
You got the full-time employees that go through MERS. You've got the supervisor and the trustee that goes through John Hancock.
John Hancock,
And then the
The
seasonals
seasonals.
and the firefighters
right.
do not have a pension.
So they don't have anything, because I remember I said, does that mean that puts us under?
No, that's
And it-
not true either.
That's not true?
No,
Oh,
because Dave
okay.
Snyder is a full-time employee with the fire department. He has MERS.
But he's in
He has
a,
a defined contribution.
Yes, he does, and so does,
But he's
I'm
not a
I'm
volunteer.
being Kathy here.
No.
You irritate me, but she taught me well.
Yeah, but that says volunteer.
But she actually, let's forget about her, but that you have Dave Snyder, and you also have your part-time
Right.
employee who's your enforcement officer,
Yes.
who's also part of the fire department.
Fire marshal.
Fire marshal, who's included in the MERS as well.
Yes.
Because he's a full-time employee. I
Correct.
don't believe the other Douglas is because he's not a full-time employee.
You're correct.
Yeah,
But that's how that works.
and
And yes, Brenda and I are the only two elected officials
Yes.
on the board as are eligible for MERS. That's part of the benefit of being an elected official. I still have my John Henry policy because I choose to have it, and it still gains interest and dividends every year, but it's no longer, no contribution from the township.
and
That's
that's,
the correct statement. But I'm
okay.
an odd duck, I guess. I'm the rarity of the
But you don't receive
Like-
John Hancock anymore.
I get
That's
dividends and
just-
interest is
Yes,
all I get.
that's all.
I chose
Yeah.
to freeze mine more or less, or to keep it there and not move it and just leave it there.
Correct.
And you're not gonna get rich on this, and you're not gonna go to Florida on it or anything, I can tell you that.
God, I hope not.
Marie,
Otherwise, there's.
could I ask a question?
Oh, sure. Good.
For seasonal folks, are they full-time during their appropriate season, or are they part-time seasonal?
They're part-time seasonal.
Okay. If they were full-time seasonal, would they be eligible because they fit the full-time definition?
If we were working them at the hours, then they would be, we would have to treat them as full-time employees with,
For that short period of time?
Or
there's
MERS.
a
And
fair
MERS, yeah.
labor standard that tells you at which point they need to become full-time employees.
Okay.
Isn't it a 35-hour? They draw the line and say,
It's so many
Yes.
weeks a year and
oh, it's weeks, they don't go into hours.
it's hours and weeks. There's a, I mean,
per
you have
week
to
and then
study it for a
hours
year.
That you, weeks that you work, if you're a season.
If we're seasonal, right, but if you work them over the 35 hours, that would be considered a full-time
Correct.
seasonal. Okay, no, that's just trying to clarify.
Thank you.
you're welcome.
All right, any other questions? Okay, that was my purpose for putting it there, was so that there would be a discussion on it.
Do we want to go ahead and vote on it when it comes
Yeah,
down?
is there a reason we can't vote on it?
No, Robert's Rules refers to not committees so much as it does conferences and et cetera, but no, that's, go ahead and vote. So
I'll have
who's
to
gonna make a
motion
motion?
first. I'll make a motion to accept John Hancock pension plan resolution as submitted.
Second?
Mr. Benzi?
Yes.
Ms. Kellerman?
Yes.
Mr. Funes Bliss?
Yes.
Mr. Rosecrans?
Yes.
Ms. Butler Challenger, yes. Ms. Howe?
Yes.
Mr. Wisswasser?
Yes.
Thank you.
Steve, has there ever been in your time here, or Al, talk about not offering this at all
Talk about
Yeah.
offering it to who?
to the trustees and supervisor?
To John Hancock?
Well, any sort of retirement for us as board members who aren't full-time like you two
So
are.
your discussion is after the vote,
We didn't have it in 67.
so that's.
You didn't
that's
have,
what
you
it
didn't
is.
have John Hancock in 67.
It's a topic. We're still on that topic.
No, we voted on it, so we.
The voting doesn't
You
mean
can
you
still
move
talk
off
about
it.
it.
I'm still on the topic. I'm just asking a question, Marie.
All right, so without the vote, we're taking a discussion. That's,
Permission to speak?
yes. That's correct. That's exactly what it says in Robert's Rules, so whatever you want.
Has there ever been a discussion to have
After a
some
vote,
sort of a benefits, no, that we're giving permission to speak, so
This is after
we're
vote.
moved on.
Okay. we
Okay.
should move on.
The of having a retirement such as MERS for, non-elected officials, I believe, or yes, elected officials, trustees and supervisors.
Like no retirement.
I believe that you would have to, number one thing you'd have to do is you'd have to read your MERS contract, and you'd have to look and see what that says is in reference to that.
No, Steve, I mean no retirement, not offering a retirement.
Get rid of this.
I've never heard of anybody talking about that.
Okay.
At the county level, and I'm not gonna go on and tell you a whole bunch of stuff you probably already know, but at the county level, everybody has MERS. They have, if you're an elected official, you have defined contribution, or defined benefit, excuse me. And then you have, and the staff members up there, in the county offices have, defined contribution. It didn't used to be that way, but when things have gotten tighter and the percentages have gotten more, that they changed that. And you see a lot of municipalities did that. But there's never been a discussion that I can ever remember, because it's really, it's a small, it's not much of a thing. But you gotta remember something, years ago, and I think people still do these jobs because they want to, and they enjoy it, and they want to be a part of their community. But years ago, they didn't make the money, our economy didn't allow for it. Our economy is different today in this business. You're responsible for a lot more dollars and percentages of what they are. I mean, think about it, that sheet I gave you here a couple of weeks ago, I mean, it used to be, I used to go around and say, okay, this is a $28 million company. Well, you know, when I ran the report here 2 weeks ago, we're not a $28 million a year company anymore, we're a $31 million company. You're responsible for that as board members making the decisions. And I think that you've seen more and more, is what I read in the publications from Michigan Township Association, I mean, you're seeing more and more people being paid, I might as well say it, paid in benefits for doing these jobs, because they're important. And they are. You're still not getting rich, by no means. You have to be. Bree and I disagree about this. I think people do this because I think they care about the community. Bree's told me, she says he thinks everybody does this for power. I'll assure you, I don't do it for power.
I don't have any power.
Well, I know.
True statement. Thank you.
I know when we did the first assessment of the trustee pay back during my first term, when we did the survey, we found many communities were also offering the part-time trustees health insurance and paying for it out of the township coffers. So I was surprised by that.
The county commissioners get that. It's across the board and just about every county there is, from my understanding.
Thank you.
It's a way of doing business.
Yeah.
And those who already have it decline.
They could pay for your heart attack you're gonna have when you disagree with your neighbors.
God, it's because we don't live next to each other, we have terrible problems.
We're never
Okay. All right, new business, items for action. I think that's Taylor's, yep.
Yes, thank you.
I have a question.
Yes, so before you are the proposed 2023 meeting dates for both the Township Board of Trustees and all of the Township committees, commissions, and boards. I have sent this document to all of the Township committees and have received sign off by all of the chairs. Obviously with the exception of Public Art Committee, since there aren't members right now, so I just kept their usual second Wednesday of the month for right now. Obviously, if we have a new committee and they choose to change their date, then this document would be updated. If the committee becomes dissolved, then they'll be removed from the document.
Should we, well, we'll do a discussion prior to. Well, you said Board of Review, and that's something that I've done for a couple of years now, which kind of put me in a position when I saw that it meets as needed. They have statutory requirements.
Right, but they don't have a specific day that they meet. They just have statutory requirements of when they need to meet by. But they don't have regularly scheduled meetings.
Well, that's not necessarily true, because in March, it doesn't say in this particular one, this is the General Property Tax Act, but it does with MTA. where it tells you in March, and then again in July, and again in December. But they say, when they tell you, and this is what you have to look up, and so would our assessor have to look it up, would be that it's what, the first, excuse me, the Monday before, or how's it termed? It says, officer of the board, except as otherwise provided, they shall, not they may or they should, but they shall meet for the purpose of this section on a Tuesday following the second Monday. And that's for December, and that would be for July. So there are specific dates that they do meet. And
Right, but there are sometimes additional days that are added, and the times also vary.
Well,
So that's why those times are posted as they are scheduled by the assessor.
And that could be if she so wants or the board wants, but there are at least 3 that taxpayers have to abide by, and by law they have to abide. So if she adds it, that can be
I
done.
understand, but
Okay,
as
that's what I'm
far
trying
as
to
we've done
understand.
this document, as long as I've been here, we've never put
I
those dates
understand that.
because they are publicly noticed as required by the statute when they need to be noticed.
So what you're saying is that she needs to notice it, which would be the zoning board, because they don't meet all the time either.
Yes, but they have a certain day
Right.
that if they have business to meet, that they would meet on that day. So that is why they have a
Right.
schedule,
Which is what
but-
I'm saying, that the board of review does the same thing.
not
Okay.
necessarily. It's
Okay.
similar, but not the same. But they don't have a specific reoccurring meeting.
Who doesn't? The zoning
The
board? or
board of review
The board
that
of
you were
review?
referring to.
But by law, they're required.
I understand what you're saying.
Okay,
I
no, I
understand.
get it. That's why I guess I didn't understand.
She also sends assessment notices,
Yes,
publishes her meetings in the paper,
that's correct.
and does mailings. So that's
That's
above and
because-
beyond what all these other groups do that meet on a regular basis.
But it's statutory that they meet at a certain time in March and a certain time in July and a certain time in December. She can add others to
I
it.
understand. So if the board would like to amend the document, then they may
Yes.
choose to do so, but
No.
that is how I have brought it to you all tonight.
Yeah, and that's why I'm questioning. Was-
I understand,
Okay,
and
no,
I answer your question.
Nope,
Can I comment?
by all means.
Actually, you talk about December, and you talk about March, and you talk about July. December is changing this year because the state legislature approved the PRE rule now, where we do PREs now,
Yep,
12 months of the year. I mean, the assessor and I make adjustments to the tax roll, and to the, actually, it even makes adjustments in the Michigan, the MTT, the Michigan Tax Tribunal. So December isn't as busy. They did this because we had to schedule multiple dates in a township this size, because if you had multiple people that come in and wanted to meet with them, they had to have appointments. Some days it would take 2 to 3 days to get through it. Well, what they did was they changed that PRE thing,
they
and so
did.
it's no longer done in December, because we do it all the time, as well as in March, or it could even, a PRE could be, an adjustment could be made in July, where we do it 12 months of the year now. So December's workload went down, we don't have as many days. In March is what your new tax assessment for the new year coming, and that's what they're typically for, and that's what they're looked at and they're reviewed, and if there's any kind of adjustments that have to be made, they're done there. July is a different animal. July is an error of fact. And unless when corrections get made, if there's something that got done in their tax bill, if their acres are off on a farm, or if the address is wrong, or their parcel number is wrong, or the ownership's changed something, that's error of fact. And that is specifically usually what they deal with in July, and usually the one-day deal. But by statute, you're exactly right. That has to be done by a certain date, otherwise it doesn't record well. However, the new rules for the PRE, and I'm not gonna speak for the assessor, but the new rules for PREs and some of this stuff is changing. They're trying to make it more user-friendly, so that they're doing more of it, letting the assessors have the authority to do it on some of these things that are no-brainers, and they don't have to go before the entire board review, and it don't take as many days to have it done, so that's why the calendar says what it says, or should be I'm sure that you talked with Beth about the calendar, and
Yes.
that's the exact why we do it that way.
Okay. Anybody gonna make a motion?
I'll make the motion to approve the 2023 meeting dates as presented.
I'll support.
Brenda, are there elections at all next year?
We should not have an election
Not
next
at
year
all.
unless for
Okay.
some reason there might
Like
be
a special?
one. Yeah,
Okay.
it'd be a special election in November.
You know, same thing I did,
Yeah.
until you know.
The next election should be in March of 2024, but they're talking about changing that to February.
Yeah.
So that's not set in stone yet.
Right.
Ding-a-ling-a-ling-a-ling.
Oh. You know, she got.
Okay.
That was for you.
July 3rd, I was just talking to you. We should consider either moving that or canceling it, because it's right with the 4th, and people are going to be on vacation. I'm not sure what July 3rd is on.
So Monday.
July 3rd is a Monday. July 4th is Tuesday.
So it's on a Monday, so that would, you'd be, if you was on vacation that week, you wouldn't be here.
I usually come before you and ask you specifically if you want to cancel that meeting.
I do.
December of 2022 as opposed to July or June of 2023.
That's all.
I mean, if we think we want to cancel it, it is helpful to cancel it, and then people can make plans instead of waiting till the last minute, but I'll be here, or I'll not be here, whatever. You all aren't gonna stop me from taking a vacation.
Now it's time, vacation time is open.
One more question on that. Karen, or typically July 3rd is not gonna be a holiday for the township. Is that something that we're gonna look to, or we did this in the past, or what's gonna happen with that? Is the township gonna be open, or is it gonna be closed?
To be honest with you, until seeing this document, I had not even looked at the dates for next year.
I didn't either, but I know that's something when you bring it back, when you ask that, that's typically what the board would look at. There's some years they've said yes, some years they've said no. You just never know, depends on what's going to do.
Because it's a Tuesday, I would probably request that it be observed as a vacation day for the employees, but it would be a matter of whether it was using their own personal vacation time or whether it was a paid holiday. Because the 4th is a paid holiday.
And I don't think we have any others in this, looking at this calendar for the staff of the township that we need to address, but at this point, I mean, December looks pretty good, November looks
Right.
pretty good. Oh,
So does September, for Labor Day, but that's, Shelley put a star.
but that's
For
something
Tuesday.
when you brought that, I thought about it when you said I kept going bring it back, because that's another thing that goes hand in hand with that, as far
Yeah.
as office being open and closed. You will have, tax bills will be out, but typically tax bills don't hit the press and don't hit the public until after the July 4th thing for that purpose, because nobody likes to have to deal with that.
I didn't like my December one.
They like to have their money for the 4th of July weekend.
Yeah. So what do you want to do? It's up to you. Do you want to, we already know Al's vote. He's put a chance to address it.
Al won't be here. No, you can have the meeting if you want.
You're going to be on vacation.
No, I'll probably be sitting home in my backyard, sitting in my chair sleeping.
Really? Okay. So,
Call the question, please.
I'm sorry, what?
Can I call the question, please?
Call the question.
That means we're going to vote. now.
Yes, I know what that means.
Okay, please.
So that's part of the discussion. So the 3rd, you're already planning on not being here. You're going to just to let us know whether or not that's going to be considered a holiday.
Township won't be open, will they?
That's what we'll need to decide. in 2023. So if you accept a friendly amendment to cancel the meeting on the 3rd, you
Just cancel, you won't add
preempted.
another one?
I don't know what this board wants to do. It would be
No,
a
that's-
decision of this board to reschedule it or to cancel it. That's usually why I ask closer to the date,
Yeah,
is
I
because
know.
then
Yes,
we know
I
what's on the
understand.
docket and what needs to be decided by that date.
But we already know Al won't be there, so,
On the 3rd
on the 3rd,
or the 4th.
or the 4th, God, hope it won't be the 4th. All right, what do you want to do? You want to accept it, or do you want to just wait?
We have a motion. and we
Yeah,
have a
second.
We have a second, but you can add the friendly amendment if you want with regards to the 3rd. If you don't want,
Change that.
exactly, that's
Yeah.
what she was saying.
Yeah.
All right, so we'll take a vote. Do we have?
Mr. Wisswasser?
Yes.
Mr. Benzi?
Yes.
Ms. Kellerman?
Yes.
Mr. Funes Bliss?
Yes.
Mr. Rosecrans?
Yes.
Ms. Butler Challenger, yes, Ms. Howe?
No. It looks like,
I move we close this meeting, go into a special closed meeting.
so you're gonna have a motion?
That was my motion.
Yep. So we need a second?
Second.
Mr.
All right,
Mr.
take a vote.
Loves that hammer.
I do love the hammer.
Mr. Benzi? Ms. Kellerman?
I have one like this at home.
Yes. Mr. Funes Bliss?
Yes.
Mr. Rosecrans?
Yes.
Ms. Butler Challenger, yes, Ms. Howe?
Yes.
Mr. Wisswasser?
Yes.
Thank you.
Can we turn the mic off and stay here? Can we turn the, you can't?
There's
hold it.
No, it's not going.
There you go. Well, I don't know, these things move rather easily. I should say they didn't go, but. Okay. Is that an agenda or something? I'm gonna start kicking you instead of,
What?
because I'll start kicking you
Kick me, I'll sue
instead
you.
of trusting. Go right ahead. And if you're froggy, jump. I used to get that all the time.
What's that?
I'm gonna say, go right ahead. Okay.
You know what this number's gonna be?
Yeah, it's $1.10. Says that
For the resolution? Oh,
that's what the actual says.
I was gonna ask you about that, what's that, because that one comes out to 456. Are we okay now? All right. All right, we're back from the closed session, and we're just our regular meeting, and we're on item D, number 14, which action item related to closed session. So is anybody going to make a motion on it?
I move to take no action this time.
Second?
Second.
Ms. Kellerman?
Agree.
You're voting yes for no.
I just want to clarify.
That's all right. It's too busy.
Can't be the only one.
Mr. Fuelsplus?
I vote yes for no as well.
Mr. Rosecrans?
Yes.
Ms. Butler Challenger, yes. Ms. Howe?
Yes.
Mr. Wisswasser?
Yes.
Mr. Benzie?
Yes.
Okay, we are now on 14E, which is the resolution to increase the sanitary rate.
Thank you. Let me just flip in my page reminder. Our 2023 budget was prefaced and built upon this rate increase, which was recommended to us several years ago by Umbaugh and Associates, which is now Baker Tilly. And it helps to fund our sanitary sewer system and any improvements that we need to make.
What are you looking for here?
A
motion.
A motion to raise the
Madam
rate.
Supervisor, I would move to,
But I was talking now.
yeah, was, I would move to take and approve the 2023 January 1st effective date of $1 or 114.14 for our review recorder for the single-family residential equivalent unit.
Second.
Discussion?
Karen, is this based on the new assessment?
No,
That hasn't been done yet.
no, that's not complete yet.
How long until that's done?
It's probably gonna be, I would say, spring, probably February, March. They're
She's
taking,
waiting for me.
they're taking into account, the improvements we're looking to make here in the township, which we didn't get SRF funding for our project to line Webster Road.
Right.
And in addition, looking at, the SRF project that was approved for SCUMA. So taking all of those things into account.
All right, thanks.
You're welcome.
So this will come back to us probably in 6 months.
A new rate study with,
Yeah.
yep.
Okay. Now, I got a quick question.
Sure.
This is $114.14,
Correct.
okay, per quarter. So if you multiply that, it comes out to like $456 a year.
Correct.
Does that sound right? Okay.
Yep.
So it's $456.56.
For a single, so
For a single.
for a single family, one RU, that one residential equivalent acre.
So it's single,
So we have
That's
several
one-
Says one
commercial,
house. Basically,
One house.
basically look
That's
at
what I
it as,
thought.
look
One
at it
house,
as
one
though it's
RU.
one house.
yeah, because you
Or
usually have 4 people
one
in a house.
apartment.
Okay.
apartments are usually one RU per apartment unless it's calculated otherwise, and then industrial and commercial have additional factors that go into calculating their RUs.
And of course, with the apartment, your rent goes up because,
Yep, it's
Your
usually
RU
passed along
goes
to
up.
them by the property owner.
okay, that is a lot. That's why I wondered if my numbers were correct. And then in 6 months, it'll be more than that.
That's what pays your $98,000 a year, or
A month.
$98,000 a month.
As we said.
Well,
That's not bad for a year.
Payment to
processing fees for the sewer authority. And that is figured out over there, what your cost, what your flow is based off of that, as well as some of your capital improvements are based in that for the year.
Bond payments?
And some of the payments on whatnot, but it also, there's, at certain points, in some years, we have a refunded amount back to the township in the way of a fund balance.
I was just gonna ask that. So fund balance, if we split that in half, let's say, just for hypotheticals, you split that in half and you add it to this dollar amount that you figure how many people are using it, does that make a difference or not?
No, what that would
Okay.
do is that make your sewer system go bankrupt. You went 8
Okay.
years here, from 2008 till 2016, and you never seen an increase in the sewer system, one bit. In 2016, when I came back here, the second month I was here, we changed that. The sewer fund balance was around $300,000. We were about out of money, and we went back to making changes, and we had,
Increase it.
we actually had Tracy, Tom come in
Tom Tracy.
and did our actuary
Rate
for us
study.
and rate study, and he works now with the same company we're using now, but we don't have him. But, they went and did a new rate study, 16, and charted it out for us for actually, I think, for 20 years.
Correct.
And they set us up so we wouldn't have to do anything for 20 years, and it's done very well for us. We back up to where we're secure. You have a $4.6 million project you're looking at bonding
Right.
for here very soon, that
That's
you're responsible for. The project is $18 million, you can just put the township shares for 4.6. There also could be, depending on how the bids come back, the bids might come back higher. And you're in a good spot right now, because if you choose to, you could take and pay partially, or maybe of that, or and lower your costs. This SRF funding thing is for 30 years, because that's the way the things are set up. You can do it 20 years, but it sounded to me like it was almost impossible for us
That's for school.
to do that, yeah.
Yeah.
But if it's done for 30 years, you only have 30 years of debt. And all the years I've been on this board, this township has never had a debt that's been 30 years. But we
Even
had
with the
debt
firehouse.
service, it's gonna be 30 years. The firehouse was paid for,
Yep.
the check was written, as the first check I wrote in 2000 as a treasurer. The check was, I wrote a check for $1 million, and we financed $900,000 for the firehouse. And then the board that Ryan was on, paid off the debt service for the firehouse a year early. They saved around $200,000 to $300,000 from what my numbers was I looked at. That was a good thing to do. The police department was built on to with the same in 2007, and we paid cash for that. That was $700,000.
So this particular one is good for 6 months or whatever it takes for the new.
This is good for a year. Every year this goes up. Because what I asked for this back in 2016, that we made this part of our budget process. So
Okay.
every year we take and we have an increase. It's a living document. This living document
That's
comes back to
good.
the board. And every year it goes up by the price of the actuarial that we paid to have done in 2016. So we would never again be caught with our is have to have the general fund compensate the sewer fund to pay the bills.
No, I get, so what you're, if I'm understanding what you're saying, is whenever this study takes place, let's say 6 months, 8 months, 9 months, whatever, 4 months, whatever it is, when you have another rate study, if it goes up $2, we'll just say that's hypothetical, then they being those who use the sewer, will not be charged for that until 2024?
The rate study is just a recommendation to us. We set the rate, so we could set it again at 6 months, but Steve's saying we're purposefully poked to set it every 12.
It's a living document that gets reviewed and redone.
But you're correct, if something were to change in the next 6 months, if there was
So
a
that's
new
what I
rate
was asking,
study,
when you said,
yes.
no, it's good for a
Well,
year.
theoretically, this is good for the
Theoretically.
budget year
This is good until we change it.
until you change it again.
Good for 20 years as far as the actuarial we had done, under the current circumstances, but you didn't have the information back in 2016 when you did this, that you were gonna rebuild the
Okay, the
wastewater
sewers,
treatment plant into it. But you have,
That's correct.
forgive me if I'm wrong, but I believe you have 24% of, as this goes on process, and you have 24% responsibility of what was that $18 million bill, which works out to $4.6 million for the 18 million. Or something very close. But that's how that all works.
And part of this, obviously,
This,
is for,
this right here pays for your monthly,
For the month.
for your monthly $98,000, I think is what it is this year for the new one,
So-
for this treatment cost. And in that, if you look at your SCUMA budget, which I don't have that right here in front of me, it's got a whole, it's all
It's a whole-
charted out, how that
That's
money
correct.
gets spent all the way through it.
Yep.
And it's still different in our budget, and at the end of the year, whatever's left, you have the option of leaving it there, putting it in a fund balance, or bringing it back. We brought it back here for the last 5 years, I guess it's been here 6 years now, back 6 years. For the last 6 years, here in 2007 was the last time the plant was rebuilt, and then it was finished in 2008. I never got to see it, but,
so if you take your.
but that's a little, so, but all 4 municipalities paid cash to rebuild the plant, because we all put our fund balance back into a special fund at the plant, and then draw the interest, and things were different then.
But on this issue,
And that's how we paid for it.
if you take your 456.56 and divide it into your 98,000,
Yep.
that's what you come up with your, okay, that's what I need to know.
Some people don't choose to pay that way. We have it here,
No, I
here we
understand.
go again, we have a special assessment
Right.
here, and we're very fortunate at the county that we have with, the treasurer, they allow us to piggyback the tax bill, and some people choose to pay their sewer sewer once a year with interest on their tax bill.
Yep.
There's a lot of that that
Is-
goes on.
Okay. No,
Steve,
that's-
I think, I just want to repeat the question Marie asked, because I think the answer is actually no. The 98,000 monthly that we send to SCUMA, you can't divide that by the annual rate of
No,
REUs.
You have to take your 114.
They don't.
That does,
That's a quarter. What you divide.
that's not,
No,
no.
that was-
So I 114 by 3, and then you know.
That's not how it works either, though.
Okay, how does it work then?
The
The
98,000.
98,000 covers more than that, and the 114 covers additional. Some of this goes into our fund balance, some of it goes to administration.
Yep.
You'd come out with more money than the 98.
We do that because we're a business, so we're not here to take and lose, and to keep our taxpayers in the red. We're here to keep our taxpayers in green. But that's what the actuarial does.
Okay,
It estimates. Now, you're gonna have years of your sewer fund here at home, the township is gonna grow more than others, because you're gonna have more REU, or more, tap fees, for more bills in the sewer system. If you build some apartment buildings, I mean, if you get 250 apartments in one building, I mean, there's a lot of tap fees there. And that's what helps it all out. But with that comes the processing cost, and you have to pay to have it processed as well, so you can move up on the other end. But this is all very carefully calculated out by the actuarial that the folks at Baker Tilly and before that, the ones we used before, Tracy actually did for us. Really,
It sure sounds easy,
I was gonna say,
Steve.
that's-
it's just a living document. All it is. I mean, it went up $100 and a dime this year. It went up last year $100 and a dime. It went up the year
So
before
$1
that.
and $1.
$1. I think it was
Not
$1.
$1 and a dime.
Did I say 100?
Oh, yes.
Well, you shouldn't want $1. $1 and a dime.
All right, so basically, what's being said is not only do people who rent pay, or owners of the property, pay for their sewer, but they also pay their property tax, they also pay, because.
They have that option.
Okay. Give them the option.
They can pay that, they can put the sewer fees, they don't wanna pay it quarterly, they can go on their tax bill and they can pay it at the end of the year with interest.
No, I understand that, but I mean.
Only
there's no
users of the
option.
sewer system pay
You
into the
still
sewer
have-
system.
Yeah,
Okay.
you still have to be in the system to.
Yes.
okay. Nope.
You can pay a sewer bill if you like, you can set it up.
No, that's quite all right. I have to like mine the way it is.
Part of
You
mine.
want, sure, you wanna bring it out that far? Right next to your house. Okay. Okay, all right.
I had Steve, but I didn't touch the second.
Oh, for the second.
Steve.
I gotta
Joe.
repeat what I said.
No, I heard your motion.
Joe. Motion,
Joe.
Joe.
Thank you, Joe.
Joe seconded.
Thank you, Mr. Benzie.
Mr. Funes-Gillette?
Yes.
Mr. Rosecrans?
No. I'll vote no every year.
Ms. Butler Challenger, yes. Ms. Howe?
God, can I wait and let everybody? That's a lot. I understand what you're saying, I do. I'm gonna say no.
Mr. Wisswasser?
Yes.
Mr. Benzie?
Yes.
Ms. Kellerman?
Yes.
Thank you.
That passes?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. So. Okay. Superintendent, I'm sorry.
No,
You
don't
already
be
knew
sorry.
that.
I was letting you, I was
Very
letting you
patient.
catch up.
We're on 15, which
Thank
is
you.
the superintendent's report.
Thank you so much. The DPW position that we have posted for a full-time position received 44 applications. We are currently going through those applications and determining qualifications, and we'll be reaching out and setting up interviews with those that we would like to interview for that position. The Senior Services Advisory Board has been working diligently, and I know because I've been trying to assist them, and they're very dedicated volunteers, and I very much appreciate the work that they've put into developing those community conversations and the timeline with which we need to move forward. And it's good work, and staff is going to assist them in meeting those deadlines and helping them get the word out and invitations and promotions for those community conversations, as well as the Survey Monkey. So we look forward to doing that. The Senior Services Advisory Board has also been working on a Kenny Rogers and Dolly Parton fundraiser for next year on April 29th of 2023. Miss Trustee Kellerman is actually volunteering and helping with that effort. She dug in deep at her first meeting of that board, and is already tasked with some of the work that they're doing. So,
Are you impersonating Dolly Parton?
I would want to see that. I would want to see that.
No.
But she definitely is working hard to help that happen, because it's all these months out. You think it's a lot of time, but it goes by very quickly, and they're all working very hard, so we appreciate that. Tomorrow night at James Cousins Memorial Park, there will be a tree lighting ceremony, and it has been worked on by almost everyone in this community, and I hope that I don't miss anybody but the Methodist Church, the Public Library, the Park Lake Creamery, Bigby. I'm just looking down the list, as well as Guy Elsenheimer, who is going to be the MC of the event, and his wife Ann, who's been instrumental in helping plan the event. There will be drinks and cookies. There will be a fire pit and s'mores. There will be a Santa Claus from 6 to 8 p.m. There will be Princesses Anna and Elsa. For those of you that have children or grandchildren, you will recall the songs from that movie. You probably can't get them
It's
out of your
Anna.
head. Anna, I'm so sorry, Anna. And there will be Christmas carols just prior to the tree lighting at 7:00 p.m. And the township is the one that provided the lights in the park and on the tree. So we hope this to be a very wonderful event for our community. Please, question.
No, before you mentioned that cherry picker caused you some problems.
It
Is that
did.
gonna happen?
No, we actually worked with a company and no damage was done.
Cool,
Okay.
I like that, thank you.
Also, another community event on December 15th, there is a holiday market at the Bath Community Center from 4 to 7 p.m., which will feature local vendors, live music, cookie decorating, and Santa Claus as well. He's making a dual appearance. So, any questions?
Where?
James Cousins Memorial Park from, I think, 6 to 8. You can go see Santa at 6 o'clock. Up to
Has
you.
it been doing a commercial?
Only as Dolly Parton.
Okay.
Al, was there, Al, ding ding.
Yeah, ding, 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 ding.
Knock on the table.
Could we get a report from the museum committee on, we had put money into helping them, and how they're coming along?
So I will ask Chris to come back and give, Mr. Hagerman, to
Yeah.
come back and give an update at possibly your next board meeting, if not your first January board meeting. They have not requested any funds from us to this point, but I will certainly reach out to him and invite him to come to the
Yeah.
board and give you an update.
Actually, I'd like to see that happen on a regular basis.
Sure.
If that's possible.
That would be great.
Cool.
Okay.
So if they didn't request any funds, did we put money into the budget for them?
I believe I carried it over to next year.
Oh, okay.
It's in DD.
Something else?
It's in the
Yeah.
DD.
Okay, thanks.
Trustee Rose.
Yeah, Karen, the county would give me the quotes for this next year, and we haven't signed the tree contract yet.
I don't have any contracts from the county, or else they would have been before you this evening.
Well, they said they sent them. Yeah, Joe.
Generally, it's January.
No,
I've been asking since
this
October.
has been a year that when we first started talking about doing them trees.
Oh,
2022?
they haven't
No.
done it yet, but they're.
Apparently, I have them in
No,
my email today.
they gotta have a contract signed.
Apparently, I have contracts in my email
For which year?
Okay,
this afternoon.
oh, okay.
Al, for which year?
This last year, we,
2022?
before winter 21, we said to do, we were gonna cut the trees on Drumheller
Right.
and on Center Road. And
I'm
they
talking
say,
about road work, I'm sorry.
no, this is for the cutting them trees along the edge. We passed, what, 30,000?
We did.
Yes, we did.
Yeah.
We did.
They say they don't have the contract back from us
I
yet,
remember that.
Okay,
so maybe give them a call and
I will.
see what, they can send the other ones to you or whatever, but
Okay.
that's why I asked him about the amount of money. It's gonna be the same this year as it was last year.
Okay.
Yeah, he made it sound like he was waiting on us.
Yeah, that's what he made it sound like.
Well, usually if I have a contract, I take care of it, but I'll
Okay.
check into it.
Yeah, okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Is
But
this
I-
work
I
gonna
also-
occur in this year? Or is it gonna occur in 23?
Well, it was supposed, we started out last year spending the money.
2021, right?
22.
No, the winter before last.
Yeah, somebody don't have contract signed.
I know.
Is the contract?
I'm gonna have to
occur
look
this
at
year?
it because I've not seen it.
Well, you need to know for the purpose of
I
cash
understand.
flow.
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
If you're talking about spending $30,000.
I agree.
a month of-
You'll be the first to know.
December, that's a problem.
I know.
2020.
They won't do it
or 2021.
this year. I'm sure they'll wait till winter, like they were gonna do last year.
It's to be thought of because we're gonna meet on Friday with managing the
accountants.
stairs. And if this is
Okay.
something that's occurred in 2022, it will get charged in your financial statements back to 2021.
first person I talked to.
Before we go to sign the contract, that when this money's gonna come, because this could throw your budget out of whack.
You
and
told me what we
You
needed.
could not have enough money to take it,
It'll be my first stop.
pay your bill.
Or you're always gonna get big bills, that's where you get it.
Karen,
No, if you don't, it
So
has to be
we have to
take-
December 31st. We've only got one more time to amend the budget. Between now and the end of the year, one more board meeting. Then Friday, we need to have a pretty good accounting of that, going forward, and know what we're doing with it. Because at the next board meeting, you're gonna amend the budget one last time.
well, can they even start work at this point?
Well, they
So
can't
that's,
start
there's
work
no
at
way,
this point.
well, not without a contract,
You
right?
can't start work, but you have to have you have to have a contract.
Right, but they're not gonna get a contract until at least 2 weeks from today, because we have to pass it.
They'll bill you,
You're already in the
we've
holidays, so
already
this
passed
isn't
it.
gonna happen in 2022.
but they don't happen in 2022, we're golden.
That's what I guess I.
There's just, I mean, it would be
Yeah.
shocking. They'd have to go right out like the Tuesday after our next meeting and start doing
Start
it.
taking them down. Snow and all, no, it's holding on. All right, is there anything
I'm all set.
Okay.
Other questions?
else? Well, no, I think, is there any other
Thank you.
questions?
Nope.
Ding, ding.
Thank you. All right, now we're on item 16, which is a public statement. Obviously, we don't have any public, so there's none. Board member comments. Starting. Sherry. Go ahead.
Sherry's,
Oh,
Wait a minute.
Well,
Wow.
that's
why
fine.
she said that.
That's an honor.
Yeah, well, bring it up, that's up to you, that's what your comments. Comments are
Okay,
comments.
I've been just doing a little research and I'm still not finished knowing what I want to know, but did talk to the folks building the cannabis flower shop. And I still don't know for sure because I haven't seen anything in writing, but as I've been given to understand, they cannot use the word cannabis, they cannot use the word marijuana, et cetera, so their plan is, in the layups that I saw of the shops, is floral or, well, grandma's gonna go in there to sell flowers.
Fauna, I think,
Flora was. So, and I don't care, to me personally, if you hate the idea of the shop there or you love it, doesn't matter. It's not truth in advertising, it's not correct in its appropriateness of what this place is. And that's my only sense of this, that we need to be a little bit more transparent and honest about what this shop is, like it or not like it.
That's our ordinance, that's forcing them not to use those words.
Our ordinance that we passed here. as a
Yes.
board, and I understand that.
That could be a,
Comments from
Sure.
anybody else?
mm,
Can I speak?
oh, sure.
So the competitive review of the recreational aspect of their business, they applied for a retail permit. That will come back to you on December 19th. So you'll have another opportunity to look those plans over and look at their business plan and the items they've submitted. And then the site plan will go to the planning commission. So this is far from over from the retail aspect.
But to be fair, they're gonna be
But to
scored
be
on our
fair,
current ordinance.
They are going to be scored on our current ordinance, but what I'm saying is that her comments don't have to fall on deaf ears. There's still time in this process for that to be heard and for.
Well, I'd recommend your comments be to the planning commission, not to the
Correct.
applicants.
Okay, so
Yes,
I'll go to the planning
to the
commission.
planning commission. But what I'm saying is it's still gonna be coming back this way. So you'll have an opportunity to express
Okay, well, I just want everybody to think about it now.
your
and
findings and feelings on the situation.
Everybody to think about that aspect of.
But if we vote no because of that, and that's in our ordinance, they're gonna have a opportunity to sue our pants off. So the feedback has to go to the planning commission.
Right, but I think they would be receptive to more opportunities than less opportunities. I don't see why anybody would sue you because you gave them more choices.
No, if we vote no because they're following our current ordinances, they would have a right to hold us accountable for that.
But,
I'm just offering you a direction for your feedback.
okay, gotcha.
Planning Commission.
Planning commission, okay.
I'm all set. I thank everybody for coming.
I was just gonna say that.
I was just gonna say,
If they didn't make it.
they waited as long as they could. Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm all set.
Oh, okay, thank you to the board. Thank you to, okay.
TV's done.
TV's still on. Okay. Thank you very much. Board of Trustees, I have a comment. Board of Trustees comments at the 21st, which is what Meg was mentioning, Meg Ritchie, for November of 2022 meeting, and I'm going to read this so that it's clearly understood. It stated that our staff was being greedy or selfish during the open meeting for the budget of 2023 in the context of the benefits. According to Trustee Fiedwin Bliss, comments, before I do this, I'll stop myself right now, because I want them officially, word for word, and I have your copy, to be put in the minutes.
We don't
Okay.
put
Okay?
verbatim in the minutes. We put the facts and we don't put opinions in the minutes. When I do the minutes,
So-
I don't write it verbatim.
Okay.
I try to do a summary of the facts and not
Okay.
try to put any opinions in the minutes.
Oh, no, I understand that. I understand that. But from my comments, I'm saying that according to Trustee Fiedwin Bliss, correct me if I'm wrong on that, the comment by a resident was totally inappropriate and should not have been used to the statement. At this time, I wish to clarify the verbal admonishment made by your trustee during the constituents' time at the podium and comments made during the Board of Trustees comment section of the agenda, which we don't have a discussion. Number one, was an elected body, no, we as an elected body should not criticize one of our residents for expressing their opinion. Second, anyone who understands the complexity of our budget process knows that our staff does not set, nor do they require dollar amount for their salaries. It's always done. The staff salaries are determined by your chief executive officer without staff approval or rejection. Therefore, during the open meeting section, it should be noted that the constituent who took the time to address the Board of Trustees regarding the 2023 budget should be allowed to express their understanding of the 2023 budget. I also note, and this is where you don't put an opinion, the verbal aggression expressed towards the constituent was inappropriate and without merit. Thank you. Again, thank you all for coming. At least the ones who were here. Now they're not here anymore, so thank you. Okay, thank you.
You're talking.
You're talking.
Your opinion.
It's my opinion.
And I just want to make a comment, I want to reiterate.
Okay.
To Ms. Ritchie, the minutes are not wrote verbatim. They're wrote as a summary of the facts, but not opinions. But I do want to thank you for bringing it to my attention this evening.
No, my question. The
Can we
facts-
please, It's the end of the meeting, it's board
I'm saying
comments.
That's what you get paid big bucks for. Hang on a minute.
Oh.
You need to do
I write a
that.
summary of the
Facts.
facts
God's
that are
sakes.
stated,
Okay.
but not opinions.
Turn your-
Trying not to write opinions.
No, I get that, but the facts that were said, okay. Go ahead. You're done.
Thank you.
You are more than welcome.
I would like to thank you for getting that tree off the wires.
Here you go.
I don't know if our guys did,
Benzie, thank you.
huh?
Benzie, our DPW
Did,
crew.
okay.
Oh,
But I appreciate it, how
Ben
quick they get at it.
oh, benzene.
Ben Z.
Not Benzie, Benzie.
Yeah, I know it, I know it.
When you say benzene, okay.
But I thank you for
You're welcome.
getting right at it.
You're welcome.
That's all.
Picture on the ladder. That'll work.
Oh, I can't.
I want to thank Sherry for jumping right in her, what is this, your second or third meeting? Doing a great job keeping up and adding to the conversation, especially folks won't know, but in the closed session. I really appreciated your thoughts and comments, so thanks for jumping in. Madam Supervisor, as for your comments, thanks so much for them. I would think that you would be the first person to defend board members' ability to have our own opinions and our ability to express them as we see fit, since that is something you continually do at every board meeting. So I would love a copy of those minutes or those comments. So as you do the same thing that I did, I will read that back to you every meeting.
Oh, that's wonderful, because what I do.
I didn't ask. Nope.
No, that's,
That's my comment. I just love a copy
I
of
move we be
your
adjourned.
comments.
all right.
I'll second that.
Vote.
Okay, Mr. Rosecrans?
Yes.
Ms. Butler Challenger, yes. Ms. Howe?
Yes.
Mr. Wisswasser?
Yeah.
Mr. Benzie?
No.
Ms. Kellerman?
He hasn't, his hot dogs aren't done yet.
It's not the
Ms. Kellerman?
Yes.
Mr. Funes?
Yes.
Thank you.